Hey everybody, I'm Griffin here, and guess what you're looking at? That's right, classic Minesweeper. Instead of the next episode of DemonCrawl, I'm going to be doing a very brief summary of my strategy with Minesweeper. So this, could be a little bit different than what you do, but it is going to basically be a display of the logic that I go through when going with Minesweeper. Okay, good. You can see the mouse because you can see that this is freaking huge. Like, this is really tiny on my screen, but it's really huge here. So the way this is going to work is I'm just going to solve some of these. They're not going to be very fast. I literally just got the old classic Minesweeper. This is kind of hard to get nowadays because Microsoft did stupid crap. But this is the old classic Minesweeper. I've been told that the whole point of this was to teach people how to right-click, because you have to right-click to mark mines, and you left-click to reveal things. So, how do I go about Minesweeper? So there's some different strategies. If you're going for speed, clicking in your corners is a great plan, because you can click in the corners. Obviously, I hit a mine there, but because we're going for speed, it doesn't matter if we die. Cool. We don't want to click in this corner because, yeah, it's probably mine. But with only 10 mines, clicking in the corners can get you some information. But occasionally, well, there's so few mines here that it doesn't really matter. So going for speed, this is obviously the easier way to do it. Be okay taking some losses and, possibly dying in the interim. But we don't want to do that because we're going to be playing DemonCrawl. And so if you count, this is 8 by 8, and there are 10 mines. So approximately 1/6 of these are mines, because there's 64 squares and 10 mines. So I personally like to click in the middle. Now obviously this doesn't always work. There are 2 mines here. 3 next to this. So we can't really suss anything out from these. What we can do is we can take the statistically smaller chance. This is beautiful. This can be 4 hypothetically, but the whole point here is that we want to try and do the thing that is least likely for us to click on a mine. Now in this game, if you click on a mine, it's just over. In DemonCrawl, you get a little bit of the benefit of the doubt here. Now, I personally believe that DemonCrawl is coded so that your first click is always an empty spot, so you reveal at least 9. Because if you click an empty spot, then it reveals all the ones around it. It basically auto-clicks them for you. So the play here, once again, if you're going for speed, it's just going to be to click corners, because, why bother? But since we're trying to not hit a mine, we're just trying to win. In here is probably our best chance, because there are 8 squares that aren't clicked. And when we know one of them is a mine. And now, it doesn't matter that there's a 2 here. It does mean that one of these 2 is a mine, at least, if not both. But what it does for us is gives us a 1 in 8 chance versus a 1 in 6 chance anywhere else. So this is technically better odds than randomly clicking. Holy banana sandwich. Alright, so this kindly clicked a whole bunch of zeros for us. But it actually gets me to talk about the first thing that is really nice, or the thing that you always want to be looking for in Minesweeper games, and that is the corner. The corner is a powerful spot. Ones in corners happens a lot, because that's just how it works. Because if you've got one mine right here, that's going to be a 1, that's going to be another number, that's going to be another number, that's going to be another number, and that's going to be another number. Like, that always happens. I mean, obviously, there's a number always surrounding a mine. But if there's nothing else adjacent to that mine, you get 1s in the corners. And because there's nothing back here, it just fills out. So corners are your best friend in the world, because we know that is a mine. The next thing is flats. So you can see this line here is flat. This is flat. This is flat. You don't have like a weird jumble one, number out here. Flats can be really useful because there's a lot of logic you can do to deduce whether or not something is there. So the main and obvious one here is your 3s. 3s on a flat mean that all 3 of these are mines, because there are literally only 3 squares next to this 3. There are only 3, therefore they must all be mines. It's great. Before we, that's right, I forgot, you can do question marks. We can't do that in DemonCrawl. This 2 is also similar. Even though it isn't a 3, it is in this corner. 2's close to the corner can do the same thing. Both of these 2's only have 2 things available to them, and therefore those must be mines. It's just a very simple logic that allows you to mark things off. And this 3, I mean, this 2 is basically similar. Instead of having a 1, I can't really gesture over here. This being a 1, or not being a 1, it doesn't really matter here. This 2 is basically just like that 2, in that these are not possible. So we know that those 2 have to be. Now, obviously, we've figured out by going through the 2's and 3's here that all of those are mines. Every single one of them, which is fine. But then this 2 is also in the exact same position. So here's where we get the fun bit. And the fun bit is this 2. So this 2 clearly fills out these 2, which is awesome. But this 2 is already adjacent to 2 mines. Now, at a certain point in time, you have to trust your own logic. And this is an important thing when it comes to Minesweeper. At a certain point, you have to assume that you are correct. If you are, as long as you are not doing maybe logic, you'll be fine. Like if this was a 1, that wouldn't actually change anything. I don't have a good example to set this up. Well, we can kind of, assuming that we didn't use logic to figure this out, because this is solvable, as we'll see. With this 3, it's touching 2. So one of these is a mine. So if you just sit there and go, it's probably this one. Like, as long as you don't do that, you need to trust your logic. You cannot doubt yourself. This 2 is touching 2 mines. Therefore, this one cannot be a mine. Click it. Boom. This 2 is touching 2 mines. This other one, click. It can't be a mine because we're already touching 2. Beautiful. And then we get some other fun stuff here. This 3 is kind of like a 1 in a corner right now because it's already touching 2, so it's kind of like a 1. Boom. You can also use this 2, which only has 2 possible spots. The logic on this one has been great. Absolutely great. Because we've had a lot of very similar stuff. So this example, I didn't plan this. I didn't put this one together. It just has worked out great. And we even get to go to one of the other things. This one's a little bit more advanced, and it's also significantly harder to use because you can only use it near the end of the game. And that is our count. So if we look at this, we cannot solve this. Right now, we cannot, if we didn't know the number of mines left, we would have to click randomly here. Because this 3 is the only information we have on any of these squares, and it comes from the fact that we got a giant line of mines, which honestly isn't particularly common. This is a very odd one of Minesweeper here. So, because of that, we know one of these 3 is a mine, but we don't know which one. We can't possibly know which one. We don't have the information. But we do have an extra piece of information that we can use, and it is the number of mines left. So we know that there's 1 mine left because we've got 9 other mines marked. And we know that 1 mine is in here. So therefore, none of these 9 can have mines in them, which is beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. And that means we get to click on them. And I clicked right here in the middle because I knew it would be blank and it would fill everything out. So now we have information. We've gotten rid of 9 possibilities for a mine, and we've narrowed it down to 3, and we now have a whole bunch of information about it. Primarily, this 3 right here. It is already touching 3 mines, so the other 2 spaces it's touching can't possibly be it. Oh gosh, there's this score. I'm going to leave it as anonymous. You guys can't see the scores. That's good. That's good. This is a terrible score for easy Minesweeper. But because we used all that logic, we get to go, cool. We can start over. So let's see if we can run into some other interesting things. I'm going to click randomly here because I'm just looking for something. Good, this is great. So once again, we've got 1s in the corner, which is great. We trust ourselves. This one's already touching 1, so all its other spaces can't possibly be it. Oh, another 1 in the corner. Beautiful. This is a little bit more difficult, but we can now use some logic here to figure some things out. Now, let's pretend that this extends further to the right and this 2 is not trapped like this. Let's just assume for now, because we can very easily say this and we're good. But we don't want to do that because I want to look at this right here, this situation right here. So this is going to happen pretty often. A straight or a flat that doesn't have a 3 on it can't guarantee you anything specifically, just right out the gate at face value. But you can figure things out from it. You can still garner information. And that is going to be from this 2 here. So this 2 is already touching 1, and it's got 2 spots left. So one of these is a mine. We don't know which one, but one of them is a mine. But also importantly, we know that both of them can't be mines, because if both of them were mines, this would have to be a 3. And since it's not, we know one of those must not be a mine, plain and simple. But that means that this 2 right here, of its 3 possible options, these 2, one of them must be a mine, but the other one must not be a mine, which means that this last one must be a mine for this to be able to touch 2, because only one of these is a mine and there's only 1 spot left. Boom, mine. Now, if this were to continue further to the right, we could maybe suss some things out, but we kind of already know that because this 2's in the corner, both of these are mines. So go ahead and click there. Cool, this could be another bit of logic here. So we're going to have something similar down here. So this 1 is touching 2 spots, one of which must be a mine. This 1 is also adjacent to those spots, and therefore it's already adjacent to a mine. We don't know where it is in those 2, but we know it's in one of those 2. So that one is safe. Plain and simple. We actually might have to guess here. Okay, let's see if we can figure this out. Because, logic. So, if we look at this 3, it's already touching 2. So one of these must be a mine. That doesn't really help us very much, so we're not going to keep marking it. This 2 is already touching 1. So one of these must be a mine. Also, not great. Now, it does give us an opportunity to know that this 2, one of these, must be a mine. On only 1. Both mines aren't up in here. So if we have a chance, this is a 1 in 5 chance, which is pretty decent. And this 2 is in the same boat as this 2. So one of those 3. And this one, this 2, is in the same boat. It's already touching 1, so one of those. So we can't actually guarantee any of these. And that also includes this 2. It's touching 1. Either of those could be a mine. So if you really want to suss this out, you can do a little bit of experimentation. And you don't have to actually mark things, but let's try. So this 2, there are 3 possibilities. Let's say that's where the mine is. We'd click that one, we'd click that one, which would leave this one with only that as an option. And that satisfies everything, actually. 100% everything. Which isn't necessarily great. We want it to be not possible. So if this one is it, it's very similar. Wait, I'm wrong. I messed up because we forgot about this one. See, mine's hidden. So if this, that is a mine. So if this is the mine, this is satisfied, and this is satisfied, which means those 2 would get clicked, which means that one is the mine. You'll also notice a pattern here. When we did this one, boom. So these are now our two options of where the mine could be. That's touching the 3. So let's look at this third option. If that is the mine, well, then this breaks because then that becomes our option, which is unfortunate. So looking at our experimentations, we don't actually have any that prove others wrong, which is unfortunate. Because if we start here, because we've already tried this one and this one in our possibilities, so if we do this one being here, that one's the mine, and we're just back for other possibility. So any single one of these really could be mines. And so what that means is that our best bet is somewhere out here. This is a bad situation because it's unsolvable. We could hypothetically click somewhere random and hope that we're not next to a mine. We could do some really basic math, like the minimum number of mines that would need to be here would be these 2, which would be this one. There's one somewhere in here. Whoops. So let's hypothetically say it's there. So we've got 4 mines, which means hypothetically there's only 2 mines left outside of this, at most. Which means that clicking outside is probably a fair bet. 1. Which means clicking over there, 1. So that means this is safe to click. And this is safe to click. That might have been wrong. So yeah, this isn't really helping us a lot. But that means this should be safe to click. Yeah, we've got so many 1s. I think yeah, okay, beautiful. Okay, so we finally clicked something randomly. I really hate clicking randomly, but that lets us click on this, which lets us click on these, which lets us do this, click on both of those. That 2 is now trapped in a corner, and those 2 must be possible. That one's now touching 2. Now we're back to a little bit of a trouble. Except we know one of these is a mine, which means we can click on these, because that would mean this is effectively touching one. And here's another one. So even though this one is putting question marks here, this one is saying there are mines. There's a mine here and here, or here, sorry. And that means this. Ooh, that was a misclick. It worked out, but that was a misclick. That was an accident. We would have gotten there anyway. Actually, no, we wouldn't have. Ooh, that was a lucky misclick. So 1 in a corner, mine. Click that one. That's another 1 in a corner, mine. Can you click that one? Now here again, this one, this mine, or this one means that one of these 2 is a mine, which means this one's touching a mine and can click there. And now the fun begins, because there are 2 mines left. There are 2 mines left, and this actually helps us out fantastically. There are 2 mines left. Whoops, I moved my mouse over on top of OBS. So one of them must be here to satisfy this, and one of them must be here. Despite the fact that here is possible, we know it's not actually. Because if one mine was here, we couldn't put a mine here and here. And of course, because those 2s are in the corner, we know that's what it is. So if you want to solve one of these things fast, you want to play fast and loose. I want to say world record is like 11 seconds. Maybe it's like 5. My record is nowhere near that fast. The real problem is you got to trust yourself at a certain point in time. And honestly, my clicking dexterity here is the problem. Boom, 19 seconds. That's not half bad. That's not half bad. Now we can also, let's go ahead and jump to an expert one. Oh, this is so much more manageable. So this is going to be a lot more similar to what happens when you click into a one in DemonCrawl. And the reason for that is because there are 100 mines, and I forget what size this is. But what it means is when you click, you're more likely to hit a pocket because the mines are still slightly more spread out. And you can get weird distributions in an 8x8. So we can go ahead and mark all our initial mines because we've got ones in corners. They're the easiest to find. We have some interesting moments up here that we'll get to. In fact, let's do it right now because I have a feeling that clicking on the ones is going to be here. Actually, we know that's guaranteed to be mine because that 2's trapped. That 2's already satisfied. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at this corner right here. So this 4 is adjacent to 5 spots. 5 of them. And this actually doesn't help. It actually doesn't help at all. Cool. So let's look over here because I saw this that works. This 2. This 2 is beautiful because it gives us a flat with a 2 and a 1. This lets you figure things out. So this 1 is telling us that one of these is a mine. That's not particularly useful. But this 2 is telling us that 2 of these are a mine. But what do you know? You know that only one can be adjacent to this, which means only one of those 2 can be a mine, which means this one must be a mine. And this unlocks some fun stuff. So now let's start clicking based on what we already guaranteed know are mines. So this one's already touching. This 2 is touching 2 mines. We can literally click everything adjacent to it that isn't already a mine. This 1 is touching a mine, and so is that one. Oh, this is beautiful. So this 1 is touching a mine, so we can click everywhere adjacent. Oh, we found an empty one. That's even greater. We got another 1 in a corner, and this 3 is effectively a 1 in a corner because it's already touching 2. So that's it. So this 1 is touching a mine, so we can click on both of those. This 2 is already touching 2 mines, so we can click that one. This 1 is touching a mine. Oh, we got another 1 in a corner. I missed that. And this 1 is now touching 1 mine, so we can click on that. That 1 is touching a mine. Ooh, 4. All right, so we've gone ahead. Oh, wait, nope. This 2 is touching 2 mines, so we can click that. So from here, you basically are just going to keep building out. So this 2 is touching 1 and only has 1 possible other option. That is ideal. So this 2 is now touching 2 mines, and we can click on these. That's a 5. This 1 is touching a mine, so you can click both of those. That 1 is touching a mine, so you can click all things other adjacent to it. And we get another cool moment. This 2 means that one of these 2 is a mine. We don't know which one, but both of these are touching a 1, which means that we can click on this because we know it's not a mine. Beautiful. And then, great. Okay, I was hoping we'd get to this example because this example is another good one. It happens more often with 2s, I'm not going to lie, but this works just as well. So this 1 basically means that one of these is a mine. And just like before, this 1 is adjacent to both of those squares, which means that it has to already be adjacent to a mine, and these other ones are safe. Beautiful. We still don't know which one of those is it. We can figure it out, but we still don't know which one is it just yet. So we can go ahead and click past. What's really nice is if this had been a 1, we could have clicked all of these because we would have known that 1 was there and it was already adjacent to them both. That's always very nice to have happen. All right, so this 2 only has 1 possible option other than the 1 mine it's already touching, so that is clearly a mine, which means we can click on these, and now this 1 is touching a mine, so we can click all other 5 spots adjacent to it. Beautiful. We've got more 1s in corners, which is super helpful. This 2 is now touching 2 mines. This 2 is still touching 2 mines, so it's kind of similar to what I was talking about here, just slightly skewed. And here we get another fun one. So this 1 says that one of those must be a mine. And this 3 has to be adjacent to 2 more mines because it's already adjacent to 1. So one of those, that one must be a mine, and then one of those will be a mine as well. All right, so we still, okay, so now that we've kind of filled out, you see we've got a little bit of space in here, but we've got enough information that we know that's a mine, which means we know that isn't a mine, which also means that this 2 is now adjacent to 2 mines, and therefore that cannot be a mine. And here we have some 2s that are effectively 1s trapped in corners. So let's just do that. That 2 is now adjacent to 2 mines, so we can click there. This 4 is adjacent to 3 mines, so we know that this last spot is a mine. Now that 3 is touching 3 mines, we can click on that one. This 3 is also touching 3 mines right now, so we can click those. Hey, look, that 2 is touching 2 mines. All the other ones available. Beautiful, look at that. We're just filling things out. We've got 1s in corners, and while we're here, we've got this 2 that's also trapped in this corner. We've got a 3 on a flat, even 2 3s on a flat. This 4 is also got everything adjacent to it. It only has 4 possible spots. This one is touching a mine. And oh, we've got a 5, which means all of those are mines. Beautiful. We have now solved pretty much the entire middle bottom of the puzzle. We still have some more ones in corners that we didn't get to. This is still a 1 in corner. And we're just going to keep working. We're going to keep clicking next to numbers that already have their mines fulfilled. Look, another 1 in the corner. Always love those. That was kind of a misclick, but it still worked because, or like I was going to get there eventually because that 1 was obviously already touching a mine. This 2 is touching 2 mines. All right, that's a 4 again. So this 2 is trapped against the wall. Boom. It's touching 3. Okay, this 2 is already touching 2, and that 1's touching 1. We got another 1 in the corner. That 1's already touching a mine. This 2 is kind of trapped in the corner. Boom. Actually, this 4 only has 4 possible. Cool. This 3 is already touching 3 mines now, which means we can click on those. All right, this is going to be a little bit odd, but that's okay. Actually, we have another situation of a wall, but more importantly, this 5 only has 5 possible spots, which makes this a lot easier. We could have done some math in here and figured out like, oh, this 2 means one of those, and that means that one's a mine. But we didn't even have to because this 5 made it easier. That 3 is already touching 3. That 3 is only touching 2 and it's got 1 left, so boom, done. That 2 is touching 2. That 2 is touching 2. That 2 is only touching 1 and has 1 left, so boom. Oh, nice. Let's see. This 3 is touching 3. This 3 is only touching 2. That 3 is touching 2. That's not going to give us much information just yet. All right, we've kind of been looking over here. Let's come back over here. That's touching 1. That's touching. We got another 1 in the corner. We can click on those 3 now. We can click on all 5 of these. Thanks to that. Hey, look, one of these is clearly a mine, but this one isn't. Or sorry, but this one only is touching 1, so that one is definitely a mine. This 2 only has 1 left. Let's see. This 2 also only has 1 left. This 2 is now touching 2 mines. Hey, look, this 2 is touching 2 mines. Oh, beautiful. All right, this 2 only has 1 left. This 2 is already touching 2 mines. That 1's touching a mine. We've got another 1 in the corner, which is going to clear this out fantastically. Hey, look, another 1 in a corner. 1 in a corner. That 2 and that 1's already touching what they need to. That 2 only has 1 spot left. That 4, okay, that's already touching. This 2's trapped in the corner, and that 1 trapped on an edge. That 3 only has 1 possible option. That 3 is now already touching. I'm going a little bit faster, but you can see how this goes faster pretty quickly once you start seeing the logic. This 2 only has 1 left. This 3 is already touching 3. This is going to get a little bit dicey, so let's step away from it for a minute. This 1's already touching 1. There you go. 4 is touching 3 and only has 1 left. Cool. These ones are all touching a mine, which gives us another 1 in the corner, which is always good to see. Lots of 1s is generally very helpful because once you find the single mine, it just clears up, and finding that mine is not very hard. This 2's only got 1 left. That 2's now touching 2. This 1's touching 1. That 1's touching 1. All right, this is going to get a little bit fun because this 4 only has 1 left. This 4 only has 4 options next to it. Boom. Now things get a little bit interesting, but that's okay because if you look at this, excuse me, I'm talking up a storm. If you look at this 3, much like something else, only has 1 left between these 2. This 2 is touching one of those, which means that must be a mine. And actually, we don't even have to do this logic because this 4 only has 4 available spots. Problem solved. All right, that's already touching 4, which is beautiful. Okay, that's touching 3. We're getting slightly boxed off in this corner here, which could get a little problematic here, but we'll see what happens. We'll keep solving around the other way. This 2 is only has 1 left. This 2 is touching 2. That 1 is already touching 1. Very nice. 1 in the corner. 2's trapped. 2 only has 1 left. The 1 is touching mine. Hey, look, 1 in the corner. So we know one of these is mine, which means this one is clear. Doesn't let us clear more than that. That 3, ooh, that's unfortunate. That is less information, but that means that one of these is mine. So this one is already fulfilled, so we can click that one. All right, we're going to slow down just a little bit, I think. So this 4 actually only has 4 available, which is fine. But that means this 3 is touching 3. said, as you go and as your spaces get smaller, you can run into slightly more trapped areas, which is always fun. So fun. Okay, here's another one. This 3 is already touching 2, which means one of these is a mine. This one's adjacent to that space, so we can do that. Unfortunately, that still doesn't buy us anything. Actually, it does. So this 2 is touching 1. So it means one of these is a mine, which means this is adjacent to those, which means we can click on both of those, which narrows it down because it puts a 1 in a corner. 1s in corners are great for us. Actually, this 3, now this 3 is touching 3. Beautiful, that 2 is touching 2, which gives us more options. And as we fill out, now this 2 is trapped in a corner while touching 1, which basically makes it a 1 in a corner. And now, see things open up. Once you get through some stuff, things just start opening up. 1 in a corner, that's touching mines. 1 in a corner, that's touching mines. That one only has 1 left. That 2 is touching 2. This 3 only has 1 available. That 5 only has 5 spots around it. Now that 4 is touching 4. That 3 is touching 3. This is really nice because this 3, one of these must be a mine, which means that that one can click all the others. Beautiful, and that filled it out. So now we know that's a mine. 1 in a corner. That 2 is already touching 2, and that 3 is now 3. Boom. We have the bottom right-hand corner solved. This 2 is trapped against a wall. This 3 is now touching 3. This 2, so one of these is a mine, which makes that a mine, which funnily enough means that that one can't be a mine, and that one can't be a mine, which then shows that that's where the mine is. And now we're just going to keep clicking next to things that are already touching the correct number of mines. 2 trapped in a corner while already touching 1, which makes it a 1 in a corner. That 2 is already touching 2. That 3 only has 1 spot available. That 3 is touching 3, which is beautiful. That 2 there, that 2 there. Okay, that 1 is already touching enough mines, so now we've got 2 1s in corners. Things already touching correct number of things. That one's already touching. Boom. We've solved the entire right side of the board. We're only down to these 2 corners. This 2 is actually already touching enough mines. I must have missed that, which means that this 2 only has 2 spots. That 2 is already touching 2 mines. That 2 is already touching 2 mines. Beautiful. The 1s cinch the day. That 3 only has 3 spots. Boom. That's solved. Look at that. And there's only 4 mines left. There's only 4 mines left. That is really convenient. So here's a fun one. I just saw it right here. This 4 is already touching 3 mines, which makes one of these a mine. And this 3 is already touching 2 and is touching both of those, which means these spaces are clear. All right. So we got another opportunity for doing something like this. This 3 is already touching 2, which means that one of these is a mine. And this 4 is touching 1, 2. This would be 3. That must be 4, which is great because now this 3 is touching 3 mines, and we can go ahead and click on that, which means that is the 4th mine. So this one is 2 is touching. That 1 is touching. Those 1s are touching. And what do you know? We have solved an expert Minesweeper in just under, sorry, that's a lot of time. I was about to do 830 divided by 60 seconds to get the number of minutes, and I almost came up with less than 10 because I'm clearly too focused on mines. Now, just because you can solve a Minesweeper like this doesn't mean that you are going to be able to solve every Minesweeper. There are certain Minesweepers that are unsolvable. And by unsolvable, I just mean that you can't logic everything out. If you looked at this one, we did not ever guess. There was not a single moment while playing this that we guessed. Not a single one. And that means that this is a solvable Minesweeper. There are other situations that you can end up in that are effectively unsolvable. And I could try and restart for one that has it, or that is in that situation. We could try. Honestly, beginner would be our easiest bet. And that's mostly just because you can actually kind of get weirdness with the way things work. And basically what it comes down to, and I don't think, yeah, we're not going to get it on this one, I don't think. Whoops, that was a misclick. It still worked out, though. What it comes down to is a 50-50. And basically what that means, I mean, it's exactly what it sounds like. You have a 50-50 chance of guessing. Huh! We got it. Kind of. We didn't kind of. Let's say, actually, no. This is going to be a 3, and this is going to be a 1. We did it. We did it. We actually got the chance. So if you look at this, we cannot logic this out. This is impossible to logic. Now, if we had initially clicked over here, we might be able to solve it, right? Like if we had clicked here or here first, this might have been solvable. Mostly because the game generates the map around where you click first. You can never click on a mine first. 'Cause then it would be boring. Why would you play the game? Because you basically just have to start over. You clicked and you just have to restart. But here, we cannot know which one it is. We will have to make a guess here. 50-50s aren't the only way. It is possible to get. Is it possible to get 1 in 3? I think it is, but I can't think of this situation off the top of my head. So this is what I'm going to leave you with. And it has to do with what the developers of DemonCrawl have said in some of their news posts. Because they have said that they purposely do not generate 100% solvable Minesweeper boards. And there are 2 reasons for that. The first one is maybe that logic's hard. I will be honest with you. I don't know if it is easy to... I mean, I am sure that it is very easy for a computer to solve Minesweeper. But that doesn't mean it's easy to generate a board that is solvable. I mean, there are definitely ways that you can do it, that if you want to guarantee solvable. But I don't think you can guarantee solvable and reasonably random. Because if you always generate one where the edges are all mines, if they don't click on an edge as their first one, then they immediately win. Because they all fill out and you're done. Like, granted, that would take 28 mines in this, right? Like, it would take that. However... it's also possible for them all to generate in a single cluster in the middle, and you click on the edge, and that also solves it immediately. So I think it might have defenses against specifically those things, but actually solving something, or actually generating something that is solvable is difficult, because you can definitely generate one and then have a computer try and solve it and see if it can, and throw it away if it doesn't. But if the number of Minesweeper boards that you can create that are unsolvable are significantly larger than the ones that are solvable, and you want a solvable one, who knows how long it will take for you to randomly generate a solvable one by generating, trying to solve it. Oh, it's not solvable. Generate, trying to solve it. Because if the numbers are great, and I don't actually know, I'm sure you could do some math and figure it out, but it would be very complicated math. But yeah, so if you were to do something like that, it could be difficult. So there's a lot of logic in that. And if you don't need 100% solvable maps, why try and generate them? Because while the mathematical reason why you might not want to generate perfectly solvable maps is something that is probably overcomable, the second one is a decision, not a fact. And that is, they said they don't want a perfectly solvable one every time, because then what's the point? Because they have built an engine, a game around a game, funnily enough, but they've built a game of a new genre around it. They've built a roguelite around Minesweeper, which means you get items, you get gold, you get other stuff. So if you can perfectly, with perfect logic, solve a puzzle, they're not adding a lot of extra difficulty to Minesweeper itself, the game. It's not like they make certain things unclickable. They kind of do if they're on fire, but the only things that can be set on fire, as far as I'm aware, are spaces that are already revealed. So as long as you only click on unrevealed spaces, I don't think you can ever be killed by anything other than finding monsters. So they have built in two mechanics, well, multiple mechanics, but two specific mechanics that I'm going to go over here that allow for them to make unsolvable things. And the first one is health. You have 5 health to start with in the base quests, and you can get more and do some other stuff, but you start with 5 base health, which means that you can arguably run into 10 50-50s because you should win half of them and lose half of them. So arguably you should run into 9, and on the 10th you would die, or on the 9th or 10th you'd die. So you could, on average, successfully resolve 8 50-50s before you die. But there are also mechanics to solve 50-50s. Like, I at one point will, in the future, get a mana item that solves a random square. If I had that right now, I could use it, and it would solve one of those random squares, which would effectively solve the game for me, because I would now know which of those two was the monster, in this case the mine, and which one was not. There are also healing mechanics, so even if you run into a 50-50 and you hit a monster, you can heal. Now, obviously, in later levels, the monsters have more power, and the 5 health might not actually be 8 50-50s, but you know what I'm saying when it comes to that. They've built mechanics to deal with them not being perfectly solvable, and that is also what makes the game more fun. Yes, if you want perfect logic, it becomes more difficult. It kind of sucks if you go, I'm really good at Minesweeper, which, you know, I'm pretty good at Minesweeper, but if I could just perfectly solve it every single time, then it would be boring. And also, I make mistakes. I haven't made one yet today, which is impressive because usually I do, but I haven't yet, so I don't need to worry about it. If you make those mistakes, you have ways to mitigate them, to prevent them, or to just heal from it, or sometimes you lose from it because you're playing poorly. Like, that's what their game is all about. So I hope that this overview of logic of Minesweeper is useful. I don't know if I'm going to click one of these because I don't want to hit a mine, but I think I'm going to. Which one? It legitimately could be either. They both solve it. I think the mines are clustered. Yeah! Guessed correctly. All right. So, that was a brief overview of Minesweeper logic. Really, most of what it comes down to is this is already touching the number of mines, or in DemonCrawl's case, monsters, that it can. I can now click every other empty space that is adjacent to it. Also, it comes down to this only has the number of available spaces equal to the number of monsters adjacent to it, therefore they must all be monsters. And then the middle road of it must be one of these, which means that this number is already fulfilled in this way and either enforces something else. Which it's kind of a weird way to phrase it, but without delving deep into the logic like I already have, it's kind of a hard situation to describe. So, if you have any questions about Minesweeper logic, please hit me up. I will do my best. I'm sure that there are also tons of other videos explaining how to play Minesweeper and how to play it perfectly that are probably more coherent and straightforward and probably involve a PowerPoint presentation, which may be to its benefit or detriment. That one's up to you. But this is your base class in solving Minesweeper and basic logic of Minesweeper. Thank you all for watching. I will see you next time as we jump back into the dungeons that are DemonCrawl. But until then, keep your gears turning.